Go ahead and record. All right, welcome all. I'm Daniel Coolbaugh. This is actually episode 2 of the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast. And today we have Clayton Snyder. Clayton, thank you for joining us. And we're actually going to get started right away today. So let me get my first question here for Clayton. All right, Clayton. So question 1, what has your writing journey been like? Please tell us a little bit about your background. And yeah, we'll start from there.
Okay. Background. I don't really have a background in writing.
Well, why do you write then? Maybe that's a better question. What makes you write?
I love to tell stories. And it's a lot of times it's something that I grew up loving role-playing games. I played everything from D&D to Rifts. So I really enjoyed all of that. And I think at some point I just decided I wanted to tell stories. My favorite authors were Stephen King and Roger Zelazny and so on. And I thought, well, I want to do this too. So that's where I started.
You can definitely tell, at least for me, for River of Thieves, that Stephen King, like those guys, were very influential, at least it seems. Because I feel like Stephen King has very unique ideas like you do. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. And then for second one, I'm curious for like your writing process. So I'm a huge fan of River of Thieves. I'm about halfway done right now. Like I was saying to you earlier before we started, I'm really mad that school has stopped my reading progress for your book and another guy, like Christopher Brenning, The Hellborn King, which I've been plugging on Twitter. They're both fabulous. So I guess I was just curious at like, how did you come up with that idea, or really your idea for Demons Inc? They both are really unique and really not, I feel like, your typical everyday, stories in both of these genres. And I was kind of curious at how you came up with those ideas.
Yeah. So let's start with River of Thieves. That's the easier one. River of Thieves, I actually started as a short story, and I tried to sell it to Fantasy and Sci-Fi magazine. And Charles Finley there, the editor, had read it, and he said he enjoyed it, but it needed to be longer. It needed to be something more. And I thought, okay, well, I can do this. And it was really my first attempt at a full-length book.
Okay.
So it's more, the way it came out is more of 3 vignettes that are tied together than it is a whole narrative.
Yeah.
But that's how it started. It was a short story. Somebody said, hey, this needs to be longer, and I did my best to make it longer because I kind of fell into the characters in the world and was really enjoying them. Demons Inc. was very similar. I had written a short story for a anthology, Dark Ends anthology that it was myself, Angela Board, Crystal Matar, Dave Willis-Croft, and Luke Tarzian. And
cool.
My story was Savages, which is pretty much the beginning of Demons Inc. And the more that my co-authors read it, the more they kind of pushed that, oh, this should be a full book. This should be a full book. So that's kind of where that went. So a lot of my stuff starts out as a short, and then it gets expanded because people want more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know I'll put the obviously River of Thieves link in there, Amazon or whatever else that, you want later on. But I definitely want people to take a look at that one, because I really struggled to read during, like, after the pandemic. During the pandemic, I read a lot. And maybe I think it's because, I don't know if I told you, but I am writing a Thieves book myself. And and I think I've always really liked that genre. Like Forgotten Realms had some very interesting, Thieves is a big deal in Forgotten Realms. And especially I feel like, 3.5 for Dungeons and Dragons for the Forgotten Realms setting. Like, they were always a big deal. They were, in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, there was the main 2 thieves. So I don't know if it was like because of the time period I grew up reading fantasy. And then the books that people suggested me had a lot of thieves. And then the thief always became like a hero in one way or another. But I don't know, the River of Thieves really has stuck with me, and I really enjoyed it. It gave me a lot of ideas for my own book too. I really liked your character Cord, for instance. Like Cord reminds me of my uncle so much.
Oh no.
And yeah, and like and like not like, you know, like he would do the things like Cord does, but just like, you know, like just like their relationship, especially at the start of the book, I just always thought was really cool. When as I'm reading, it takes me back to just basically our relationship when I became like a teenager and stuff. So and I really liked the world building too. I really liked, you know, how you do the magic and things like that, and just the world itself. Right when I got to the first 50 pages, it felt very full to me. Um, and I don't know necessarily if it was the prose, or I really feel like it was just the characters and their perspectives and how they interacted with the world. I felt like you did that really well, and it's made it really enjoyable. I think I flew through the first 60 pages within like, I don't even know, maybe like 50 minutes, an hour. So that had to be one of the quicker reads so far that I've read since the start of the pandemic, to be honest. So yeah, it's been really good. So anybody out there, go check out River of Thieves. What about Demons Inc. then, Clayton? I've always thought that one. I'm actually ordering that one today. I just got my Amazon gift card for my birthday, so I'm looking forward to doing a small video for that today. So
Awesome. Demons was, like it said, Demons was a short that kind of blew up into a book. But I love urban fantasy. I love noir. I
yeah,
wanted to kind of take those two things and smash them together. And I wanted to do something with urban fantasy that hadn't been done before, because everybody does fairies and elves and
yeah,
dragons.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody really has ever done, um, possession.
Yeah,
So
oh, yeah, yeah,
willful possession at that.
yeah.
So that's something I kind of wanted to mess around with. But I also wanted to talk about things that are maybe hard for people to talk about, trauma and abuse and all of that. And that was how that worked for Jack. His demons are intimately linked to that. So
I gotta plug this because I love the description. I'm gonna put the link for this one too. This is, I think it was really like, I love the cover when I saw it, but I absolutely love the description. I think it was when I first became friends with you on Twitter. I was like, saw it and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I clicked on it, and once I saw the description on Amazon, I was like, okay, that's the book for me. It says Jack Nix is down on his luck, demons bound to his flesh, his ex's soul in a jar, and on his last dime, he takes the one job he shouldn't. I personally was hooked right there just with those first few descriptive lines of the book. But yeah, I agree. Urban fantasy for me, it's like I love Kevin Hearn. I feel like he does Iron Druid Chronicles. They're some of my favorite books of all time. People after that, I'm kind of like, all right, druids are done for me. Vampires are done for me. I like Jim Butcher obviously a lot. I like when he takes something that's somewhat new and puts a new spin on it. I feel like he has a lot of unique characters, and that's how I felt when I read the description about Jack. I felt like he was another, more unique character for urban fantasy. Because, like you were saying, I'm over the fairies. If I have to, sit through 10 more werewolves in the same book, I might lose it. So I'm definitely looking forward to ordering that one and getting into it. So
yeah, and there are actually 3 series that kind of help inspires Demons Inc. too.
oh, cool.
So Stephen Blackmore's Eric Carter
Oh, I
series
love that series.
is probably my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's good. I actually just saw, oh, my buddy, because I think didn't Felix Ortiz do one of the covers for that? Oh, I think book 5 or 6. I remember seeing it somewhere, but yeah, I remember seeing Kevin Hearn plugs Steven a lot, and he actually, I'm really glad because he was the one where, I think it was like book 3 or 4, he was plugging for Steven on his Twitter account, and I had been following Kevin since I met him probably about 8 years ago in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was hooked instantly, so I went and found a bunch of them. Um, all in the same day actually. I'm on book 2. I got stopped, but that first one I like flew through. So I definitely see what you mean. It was very, very unique. So that's exciting that you said that that's one of them that inspired Demons Inc. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely even more excited now about Demons Inc.
So, but yeah, the other 2 are M.R. Carey's Felix Castor series
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Daniel Jose Older's Bone Street Rumba.
Oh, nice. That's funny you said that. My buddy who I'm going to go with right now, he actually was trying to lend me book one for both of those. So I'm actually really glad you said that, because I haven't read either of those authors yet, and I love urban fantasy. So now I'm even more excited. It's gonna be a good day for this guy, I tell you right now. All right. Well, that is awesome. And again, like I talked to you before we started recording, if you guys have a chance, I tried plugging for our first podcast as well. Make sure you go and take a look, because Clayton was on with one of his co-authors, Michael R. Fletcher. They talked about their new novel, and it's going to be on Wizards, Warriors, and Words. I believe it was, what did you say, Clayton? Maybe like 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, a month now. It was a little bit.
At least a month or 2
Yeah, it
months.
was at least a month or two. Yeah, so make sure you guys go and take a look at that. I'm going to be putting the link in there. I'm actually a Patreon for that podcast, because I love it so much. And Clayton was on there about a month ago, maybe a little over that. So I will be putting that link in there as well. And I will let you know the episode. It was a really good one where Clayton and Mike talked about that co-author process. So if you want to just speak a little bit to that, Clayton, I was really curious to really honestly, like, when did you and Mike decide that, you wanted to do, a book and co-author it? I kind of was more interested in where that idea came from. Like, did you approach Mike? Did he approach you? Or was that kind of like a common thing?
Yeah, no, that was all Mike.
Okay.
He messaged me out of the blue and asked, well, he said he had a terrible idea.
He always does, and then ends up being a really good idea.
So that terrible idea was that we should write a book together, and I don't turn down terrible ideas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's where it started, and I think we spent the better part of 2 months planning the book and kind of the world around it, and then kind of took off from there. So.
And how do you say it? I know I always mess it up, and then Mike's always like waiting for people to mess it up, and then he says it correctly.
It's Norelska Groans.
Norelska Groans. Okay. And I gotta say, I think I was one of the few people who really, really enjoyed the first cover. Not that the second one isn't amazing. I don't know what it was about that first cover. I felt like it really had the tone and the mood, at least from what you guys were saying on the other podcast. I do really like the new one though. The color scheme works really well. It looks really good. But how did you guys decide on that original cover though? That was a good one.
I just kind of threw something together.
Here you go again, Clayton. I think I'm gonna start getting you to do mine instead of.
It was just hoping that it was thematically close.
Yeah. Oh
it's
God.
funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. We talked about the covers after I did the new one, and the consensus seems to have been that people who have read the book really like the first cover, and people who have not read the book really enjoy the second cover. So
that's funny.
We've actually split it. The hardcovers are still the original cover, and all the new book, the paperbacks are the new cover.
Oh, see, that's good to know, because I'm trying to order that one too today, and that's actually really good to know, because I actually really, like I said, the second cover it's awesome. It's awesome, but there's something when you guys first shared that on both your Twitter feeds, and I was just like, even before reading the description of the novel, I just thought that is perfect. And when I went in and read the description, I'm like, okay, I already knew what the book was about. So I just really like that first one. So I'm glad I don't buy many hardcovers, but I will definitely buy the hardcover for that one, because I really enjoyed that cover. And I felt it really set the tone for the noir and, the kind of like mystery and the kind of world building and setting that you guys were describing. So I really like that one.
Yeah, I would send it, I would kind of put it together in stages, and every time I put it together another stage, I would send it back to Mike, and his comment to me was usually blood, more fire, blood. So
the usual
yeah.
Mike Fletcher. Okay. That's awesome. That's really funny, because like I would say your covers and then Felix his covers are my two favorite right now in terms of like the indie community. So it's funny. I really like to I just thought Demons Inc. was incredible. That to me like opened up like a whole new world. And then when you did this one, I just thought, oh, that's really cool. And then when you had the second one, I was like, that's even cooler. So you did the second one too then?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. We're gonna have to talk at some point about that. Both of those are amazing. Amazing. Like I really wanted to do posters of the first one, especially.
Awesome. Yeah, most of my cover art is actually stock art from an
Yeah, I remember you
artist.
saying that.
Yeah, from an artist named Grand Failure, or
Ah,
at
okay.
least that's what they go by.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Norelsko is a little different. It's more of a composite image. I'm not really an artist, but I'm fairly decent at throwing things together in Photoshop and making them look cohesive.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the Norelska covers are more of a just a composite that I worked on
Gotcha.
until they looked right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they both look really good, so I give you credit there. I was trying to do a little bit of that for my buddy, my tech guy. We just want like a very simple banner, and my artist is amazing, but he's really swamped right now. So he just gave me an incredible angel warrior that comes from a legend from my world. But I'm really excited to get the actual podcast logo from him. So my buddy and I were like, well, let's do what Clayton did and go on to the stock images. So I think we're going to put a little something together for that just to hold us off in the meantime. So
There's some good stuff out there.
yeah, we looked at my old boss at the gaming bar from this past summer was showing me, and there were some really cool ones. He's like, if we just take one of these other images and, put a composite over top or whatever, and then just, make one like really like dark green and another one lighter green or teal. He's like, these would look really cool. So yeah, I was glad that you had said that to me, because that was like, you and Felix had both said that when I messaged you guys, and I thought that that was a really good idea. So if nobody's checked out the Adobe stock images yet, please do. I think when we were looking, it was like $10 a month or something like that. And I think I think the basic package now after the last couple of weeks has gone up. I think you get 20 images a month or something like that. So that was
Yeah,
really cool.
it's a good bundle. Yeah, it's more than you can use unless you're
Yeah.
really not a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think my boss he's got like 135 images he still hasn't used yet,
Yeah,
just off the basic package. So yeah, that's a terrific idea. I am going to do a video, just so listeners know, I will do a video on that as well. We're just waiting to see when a good time will be. We have to pick two of the images, and then we just have to be able to meet up, and then we'll put those together. So we'll do another video on that. But yeah, it's a great idea. Just again, take a look at Clayton's books here, see what he's able to do. I think that's a great thing that I didn't know that literally until I talked to you and Felix probably about 3 weeks ago. I had no idea that people even did that. And I think that's a much cheaper, and, you have obviously, done really good covers with it. So that excites me that, I'm a fairly decent artist, but way out of practice, and I don't do digital art. So when I saw that you guys both said that, I was like, that's really cool. So definitely going to have to look about that route. All right. Yeah, I was curious, really, would you recommend co-authoring a novel? And when in a person's career, like I said, like I'm, about to be done with, my first novel, probably here within the next like 2 months or so. I know Dirk had said that, I don't know if Dirk and Mike said that when you were on their episode for Wizards, Warriors, and Words, but I know Dirk said at some point when I was listening that he thought like novel 3 and 4, like he would do at least 3 and then do the fourth one as a co-authored book. What would you think in terms of like your experience with that process?
yeah, I'd recommend it with a couple caveats.
Yeah.
One being you have to check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
That's you're going to go in, you're working with somebody else. They're going to have their own ideas, they're going to have their own process, and they're going to have their own peccadillos just like you do. So you really have to keep that stuff outside, because it's an agreement between the two of you to put out a piece of art, and it's any one of those things, especially ego, is going to blow that up.
Yeah.
um, that's probably the first caveat. The other is patience. I would, don't set a deadline if you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to take as long as it's going to take. And that was pretty much the agreement that Mike and I went into it with. And shockingly, we knocked out the first draft in like 2 months.
Yeah. Remember you said that. That's crazy. Like, especially with 2 people.
It was super fast. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's definitely the process or at least the way I would recommend doing it. As far as when to do it, yeah, third or fourth book. Once you feel like you're confident enough in your own voice, and I'm not going to say in your writing process, because it changes from book to book. It's
Yeah.
never
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, once you feel like you're comfortable in your own voice, yeah, third or fourth book is probably good. So
Yeah, I like how you said that, because like I know a lot of people from a lot of podcasts, and I just talk to a lot of authors from Twitter and Facebook and stuff and TikTok, and that seems to be the consensus, is really like, to find your voice, even, 3, 4 books. I know a couple people are even saying like they had trouble to 5 to 7, depending on, who they were and what their process was, the characters they were writing. I know, I was trying to think of, I listened to a podcast the other day, and one of the authors was saying that like he didn't find his voice for probably like 8 or 9 books, but his series went on for at least 16, for indie publishing. And I thought that was pretty crazy. And now I know that person, I'm blanking on who it was, but I know that for a fact, like they have over 50 books now. And I thought that was interesting that, that's what they had said, but they said, it just took them a little bit while longer. And once they had gotten a different set of characters, because then now I know that series like flips, from what they were saying, it seemed like it kind of fit into place a little bit more. So I
yeah,
like how you mentioned that. Let's see here.
yeah, and well, it's tricky too, because when you're starting out, a lot of times what you're doing is aping other writers' work. Uh,
Hmm.
you read Stephen King, so you're going to write like Stephen King, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you read Mark Lawrence, so that's how you're going to try to write. And it takes a few books before you really get the hang of,
Yeah,
well, this is what I sound like. These, this is the pattern of my prose, and this is how I want to say a thing.
yeah. And I think that's a great way to put it. I think that's what I struggle with, because I'm like, this is how I want it to sound, and it doesn't sound that way. And I think that's where I'm personally, I know a lot of people are in this situation too right now, that I'm talking to on Twitter, where you're trying to go to draft 2. And Dirk actually just said it on the last episode with, I think it was episode 2 with Anthony Ryan just recently. I think it was the one they released last week. And I was listening, he just put it in a really good way. And he's like, it just takes you a while to, for everything to fit. And he's like, once you stop trying to sound like those other people and just figure out your voice, he said it might take you, 5 or 6 drafts. And then, just for the first novel to somewhat get it. And I thought, you know what? I thought I'm going to go back through draft 2 and actually just write, instead of trying to sound like, you know, whoever. I'm just going to try and just write. So I think that's a really good point you make, is just trying to find it. But Dirk was like, all you can do, and Mike said the same thing, is just write. So
Yep.
that's my goal for for tomorrow, is just to say, screw draft 2. We're just gonna just write the story and try and go from there. So
Yeah, the biggest thing for any new writer is just to get out of their own way. And
yep.
just,
Ooh, I like that.
So
I think I'm a steamroller. I think you know what I mean? I'm in my way, and then I go back over it again, and then I'm like, oh, sorry, and then I go forward again. I just go back and forth. But
yeah,
my friend made a good point the other day. He's like, at least you haven't quit yet. I said, that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah,
He goes, you finally finished a product. And I finished a lot of short things. So this finishing I think it was like almost 75,000 word, draft. He's like, that's something. He's like, now you just have to get up to the next ledge. And I was like, I'm so physically and, emotionally and spiritually tired from doing that. And I've taken a lot of breaks recently to try and, kind of get my
yeah.
bearings back, so to speak. But
Yeah, you get. I mean, yeah, you got to recharge. So
yeah.
I will. I'll finish a book and I'll take about 6 weeks off usually.
Yeah,
So
I remember you saying that. I like how you guys are saying that now. So, I feel like, I don't know what it is, but particularly male authors, I have found, listening for podcasts for probably about 4 years now on writing, that many male authors for some reason just don't talk about that. And for some reason, just the last couple of, like, over the last year or two, so really since the pandemic, like a lot of male authors have said that. And for me, it's interesting because a lot of female authors have said that for a long time. So I don't know if it's just people weren't taking, guys weren't taking breaks, or if, we just weren't talking about it. But
or
it's
it's
interesting.
yeah, it's just a guy thing. You don't.
And that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, is maybe it's just a guy thing. Like,
So,
I can't show weakness. My
right.
characters in my book don't show weakness. Neither can I as a writer. But yeah, it's funny. Um, okay, so we covered a couple of these, which is great. Yeah, I'm curious. So in terms of these last couple of questions, so what's your favorite Stephen King book? I always love to ask people this.
Oh man.
Can you pick one? It's hard to pick one, but if you could, like, if you had to take one to a desert island, we played this game with my writing crew the other day. If you had to take one book to a desert island, and that's the only book you read for the rest of your life on that island, which Stephen King book would it be?
Oh boy, that's very hard. Because I can't even think of all. He's got like 50 some books, right? So I can't.
Yeah. My friend and I were both just talking about that because he said Stephen King. So we're like, well, what if you got to pick an author? Like the shelf was there, and the ship's going down. You just had to pick one, like
So
put it in a water covered, thing.
right. So I think if it's short stories, it's probably going to be Skeleton Crew.
Oh, that's a good one.
But if it's novels, I'm going to go between either Salem's Lot or the very first Dark Tower.
Yeah. So why would you pick those two?
Well, Salem's Lot, I think, has the best. It's his best work in terms of both emotional beats and ending.
Yeah.
King really has a problem with endings, and he also has a problem with bloat. And Salem's Lot kind of hits every note perfectly for me. The length is right, the ending is right, the emotional beats are just right, the characters are well built, the horror is just slow build dread until everything explodes.
Yeah.
I love that book so much, the way it's built. And the Dark Tower is just the very first Dark Tower book is just unlike anything else that's really out there.
Oh yeah.
And I think in terms of creativity and originality, that would be the reason I grabbed that one.
Yeah. It's funny they say about Salem's Lot. My friend, we were at school. We were talking about introducing ourselves, and my co-teacher, Shawshank Redemption, is his favorite movie, and we were talking about it. And one of the kids like, I've never seen it. I'm like, it's a perfect movie. Like, at least for me, from start to finish, and you feel so uplifted. And I feel like Salem's Lot is personally is a perfect book because, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this on a lot of different podcasts, just for the same reasons that you just said. And for a lot of people, it really just hits all of those benchmarks, for what a great, novel should be, let alone in that genre. So it's very interesting to me that you said that because I've had that talk like 3 times recently with Salem's Lot. So it actually makes me want to go back and reread Salem's Lot because it's been a long time for me and a couple others. I feel like he's a master of his craft. And but there were some that I was disappointed with, like for the reasons that you said. I'm a big ending guy, and if the ending is lackluster, it kind of ruins the book for me a little bit because I did all that work. So
I will say I haven't read Billy Summers yet, and I am actually excited to read Billy Summers.
I haven't read that one either. Yeah,
it just released a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Oh, I thought I got that. Yeah, okay, that's the one. My buddy actually picked that up like instantly. I think he's already done. I have to check with him.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to get through too many of his newer books, but this one really kind of excited me, so I'm looking forward to reading it.
It definitely sounds really good from the description. Yeah. I just think it's so funny because I go into Goodreads. It's funny because you said that because I was updating River of Thieves the other day, and I literally see him like, he's like, I'm on this page. I mean, he's been flying through it. So I don't even know where he got a copy. I don't know if he got like an advanced reader copy or something or what. But, yeah, that's why I thought it was out for a while. I thought it was like earlier in the summer or something like that. I was like, dang, he's like flying through it. But he's a Stephen King fanatic. He's got like all of them signed and stuff. So yeah. He got his Dark Tower signed from somewhere. I mean, the thing's gorgeous. And here I am with my $3.50, it's really old and it's frayed and you can barely tell what the cover is. But yeah, I love the Dark Tower. We were just talking about that in class. A kid asked me about it and we were talking about the movie, and I said, well, first of all, Idris Elba was amazing. And I felt Matthew McConaughey did a really good job, but I knew they were going to butcher it, and they did. So I think they should do it. Personally, I think they should do it as a TV show. I'm hoping that Wheel of Time and a couple of those just do better, than some of the previous ones. So we can hopefully, it is a really, really interesting book. Like you were saying, like when I read it actually 2 years ago, and I actually remember because it was around the fall, and I just went in and I was like, well, I haven't read Stephen King in a long time. And my friends kept talking about it. And I picked it up. I had to have been done the next day with it. I don't think I got home till about 7:30 from school and sports, and I was dragging the next day, but I mean, I loved it. And I started reading the second one, and I don't know what it was. It just didn't hit me as well as the first. I should probably go back again, but Yeah, that first one was incredible.
I think the series dropped off for me about 6.
Oh, okay. See, that's what a lot of people say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I definitely want to get in more and just in like now I'm like looking more for world building, I guess. Before I was like really into characters a couple years ago. Now for some reason, like that's just I just want to read world building. So that's where your book, River of Thieves, I just really liked the feel. And I liked how quick I felt your world.
Mhm.
And I felt like I was right there, beside Cord and those guys, like right off the bat. And I felt like you didn't do, a lot of those mistakes that we talk about for world building. I just felt like it was just I was in, like Star Wars with hyperspace. I was instantly just in your world over their shoulder, trying to get in the boat or escape from somebody,
Right.
all those things like right off the bat. So and just the last one I have here is just basically what do you have on the horizon or what would you like to promote? Obviously Northcote Groans, I'll put that in the YouTube description. And then we'll plug it in for the Spotify RSS feed, which will actually go up tomorrow. And
Okay.
then, yeah, so we were held up a little bit. I don't know exactly what was going on. It wasn't converting right or something. So we got it figured out yesterday. So we're gonna put the channel up tomorrow, just so you know, for Spotify for everybody. And then this is gonna go on YouTube actually Monday morning. But what else would you like to promote? We talked about River of Thieves, Demons Inc. I'll put those in there because those are just some of my personal favorites. Nurseco Groans. Anything else that you're working on or want to promote or anything like that?
Yeah, I just finished a novel.
Oh, cool. I did not know that. Okay. See what happens?
So
I'm off Twitter for like 2 weeks.
right. I haven't really talked about it too much yet. It's in edits right now, so
Oh,
it's gonna
cool.
be it's gonna be a big one.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
Probably around 125,000, I think it
Oh,
is.
wow. Okay.
By the time the edits are done, I'll probably be pushing that. So that's it's titled The Liar. Um, just tentatively right now, it's a cross between cyberpunk and fantasy.
Oh, that's cool.
It's it's about a guy who's spent his life uh basically conning other people, and gets drafted into the local military and everything that follows from there. And I kind of what I wanted to do was a mashup of The Rock and cyberpunk.
Oh, that's cool.
It's kind of like, yeah, all that in one boat, but it needs work. It's like I said, it's in edits right now, and it's gonna, I'm sure I'm gonna add another, right. I think when I ended, I was around 80,000 or 85,000 words, and I'm probably gonna stuff a whole bunch more in there. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, you had mentioned world building. I had wanted to recommend, obviously Fletcher's work is
Oh,
all
yeah.
strong in world building. If you haven't read it, Gareth Hanrahan's Gutter Prayer.
Oh, actually, I have that one ordered. Actually, no, I just got that one on Kindle actually the other day.
The world building and the ideas in those books are just flat out brilliant. It's effortless the way he builds it.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say Zlozny, if
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
by Roger Zlozny, the Amber series is
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
I got those used actually a couple months ago.
I think the first Chronicles of Amber are still some of my favorite books. Um, but yeah, that's if you're ever looking for more world building stuff to read.
Oh yeah, always, always. And I feel like a lot of people are, because we talk about world building on podcasts and things. And I actually want to do one day. I would love to do one with you, Fletcher, Dirk, and Rob, and have people just comment to us what they want us to do, and then literally just build the world from the comments, like in that podcast. I saw somebody do that kind of lightly one day, and I thought it was so cool. And I thought, how cool would that be to get different authors together who have amazing world building and to just give them those, and then by the end come up with this awesome world. It's like a podcast dream of mine. So I definitely think it'd be a
So,
really cool episode. And then that way people, can actually get real examples, because we always talk about it, but very rarely do we actually see the process take place. And I think taking that and kind of dissecting it a little bit more and giving concrete examples. I'm a teacher, so that's teaching just in general. And I
yeah.
think that people would eat it up personally. So
Oh, and I did want to plug 2 more books.
yeah, go right ahead.
Angela Board's Fortune's Full.
Okay.
Just again, because the world building in that is incredible. It puts
Okay,
you
cool.
it puts you directly in this world that is kind of a parallel to Renaissance Italy.
Oh, cool.
It's,
Okay.
just done so well. And Crystal Matar's Legacy of the Whitewash
Oh,
is
cool. Okay.
just a brilliant book all around.
Yeah. I know that's been making the rounds a lot. I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it. You gave me a lot to add to. I have a huge Amazon gift card to use right now, and one from a local bookshop too. So I'm gonna be doing some shopping tomorrow on my day off. So I really appreciate it. All right. Well, like I said, I'll be putting this up on Spotify. He told me just to wait until Monday, so we're gonna wait now. From now on, the Spotify new episode. I'll be starting the channel tomorrow. Our episode will be on there Monday. He said probably afternoon, and then we'll be putting the YouTube up right away for today on Monday morning, actually. So if there's any links or anything like that you want to send me, feel free. I'll plug them all on Twitter, the Facebook. I started a new group just for the podcast, just so different people can talk and plug things. And I'll put anything else that you'd like in the YouTube comment section. That way our listeners can go right in and find your products.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to talking to you again on Twitter and things like that, Clayton. Hopefully we can get you back when you're done with that next novel. It sounds really awesome, and I'm already going to be put myself down for a pre-order. So I'm excited to hear that. Awesome. All right, my friend, you have a good rest of the day, and I will talk to you later.
You too. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks. Yep. Bye, Clayton.